Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. I'm Annette Richmond, and this is the Smarter Career and Business Moves show, the LinkedIn Live, and also the podcast. And Frank, I am so excited to have you here as my guest today. I first met you when you were a guest on my friend Jillian's show, and you were so engaging. I immediately invited you onto mine, and thank goodness you said yes. So, for people who don't know you, please tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
My name's Frank, and I work with my wife Marci, and we are very creatively known as Frank and Marci. And we are digital marketers, brand strategists, and digital marketers. Marci is the writer in the team. She's the conversion. She's a conversion copywriter. We help small businesses to rise above the blah and basically create better content and get their stories out into the world in a way that makes people want to do business with them.
I love that rise above the blah. And I just, I commend you. You're one of two couples I know who actually work together, have the same business. My husband and I have our own businesses. We tried just sharing an office for a while and it just did not work. So kudos to you for doing that. That is just amazing to me. And so I am so excited to have you here to talk about this content. I mentioned to you that I was at a conference just now a couple of weeks ago, and about 25% of the presentations there were about AI of some form or another. And there seems to be what I hear from colleagues, what I hear like on the news, kind of this different opinions about what AI is, what it's going to possibly be. And so if you can just share your thoughts on that whole thing and maybe provide a little perspective, because you know more about AI than I do.
Sure. I mean, it's fascinating the way it has just exploded in the last year or so, isn't it? I mean, yeah, it's quite amazing. And it'd be easy. You almost feel like, wow, this is a whole new thing. And yes, there have been developments that have created these new forms of AI, but it's been around for ages. And a lot of the tools even that we're using have been around for ages, because it all started, I think, last year. It really started capturing people's attention when DALL-E 2 was released, which is a text to image generator. So you can type in an apple and it will create an image of an apple, and you could type in a photo of an apple, get a photograph of an apple, an illustration of an apple, get an illustration of an apple. So that, it blew people's minds because there had been this huge leap in quality. But I mean, DALL-E had been around for some time. It was just that the output wasn't quite as mind-blowing. And then a number of other text to image generators came out, and then of course towards the end of the year, a lot of different what we call generative AI tools started to kind of pop up. So text to video started to make small improvements. Even like text to 3D has started to make improvements. But then late last year, ChatGPT came out, and that is, I think, what really captured the public's imagination, because even though it's text-based, it is language-based, and that is how we humans do pretty much everything we do, is language. And so to have a machine be able to create human level text and to be able to converse back and forth at a pretty good or close to human level, I think that just blew everybody's mind collectively, really, didn't it? And so now we have an explosion of generative AI tools and companies and people trying to get small businesses' attention and saying, oh, you need this tool, and our AI will build your website, and our AI will create your avatar. And so it's hard to keep up. The developments are happening at an incredible pace. But I think that's the little backstory to it, is that these new AI models of being able to generate content from just a simple input is where we're at.
I remember last year, I don't know how I happened upon it, but I had that open AI, which is kind of ChatGPT before it was ChatGPT. So when ChatGPT came, I already had the other open AI, so I was able to jump right in. I already kind of had a membership or something for it.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the main thing. I use ChatGPT all the time. I use it for brainstorming. It's great if you want to outline something. I actually know someone who wrote a book and published a book using ChatGPT and said, this is an experiment, and has it up selling on Amazon. I don't know what's happening with it, but and I do think. First of all, I'd like your take on what you think some maybe the best uses are for ChatGPT before we get into other things. But I also think, for me, when I see the writing, and seems to be a lot about the prompts and telling it, tone that out, bounce it up, or whatever. But generally speaking, the content, if you're just asking to, give you a blog post or something, is not particularly engaging.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I'm like you. I use ChatGPT now for everything, and anything that crosses my mind, anything that I get a bit stuck on, anything that I'm feeling a bit kind of like blank canvas on, I'll give ChatGPT a go. And sometimes it'll be brilliant, and sometimes it won't. But the main thing is that I have this now. I don't have to bother Marci for absolutely every little thing. I can bother ChatGPT about it. But I literally do. I'll run anything past it and just see what's it good at, what's it not. I would say, I mean, let's say I very, very rarely would like take anything that ChatGPT writes and then just publish it. I don't, like you, I don't think that's what it's great for or at. However, if you have a couple of frameworks, or if you get to understand like how it works and what it's best at, you can develop your own kind of workflows or processes for speaking with it that get you closer to usable content, which I still think you then have to go and edit. And, so my way of working with ChatGPT now is that I have this big conversation with it. I have certain things that I will frequently get it to use. So I will always give it as much context for the project as possible, because I think, some people are going to ChatGPT and saying, write me a blog post about these widgets which my business sells. And then they look at the output and they go, well, that's terrible. I'm not putting that on the blog. And they give up.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to say, okay, ChatGPT, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set out to write a blog post. It's aimed at, and like, give it your full customer avatar. Tell it exactly who the audience is. Then another thing I will frequently do is you can now upload documents to ChatGPT. So you might upload a document about, small business concerns, a study that's been done in your niche, and like give it as much context as possible. So recently I was actually creating the page for my AI newsletter, and I did exactly this. I gave it the avatar, the customer avatar, and then I uploaded studies that had been done about how people were feeling about AI. And I uploaded studies about, what were small businesses using AI for. And so that gave it a lot of context for the content that we were about to start to write.
Okay.
Then I start to go back and forth with it. And I just start to say, what do you think the page should include? And what do you think we should open with? And what do you think the main argument should be? And what do you think would be a really compelling hook for the top of this page? And I just chat with it, and it comes back with ideas. And then I might say, well, I mean, one prompt I remember saying to it was, well, this is all sounding a bit blah now. And the newsletter is called Rise Above the Blah AI edition. So I can't have it be blah. Let's look at how we can inject some creativity and fun into this. And I just go back and forth, and I'm constantly copying and pasting bits that I like and ideas that it's had. So I'm creating a document for myself. that is a huge long document of bits and pieces and scraps and ideas. And then I go in and I start to go, okay, let's put some structure on this.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I'll just copy the whole thing back into ChatGPT and say, look, I've got this now. It's a big mess. Talk to me about how we can structure this a little better. But it's a constant back and forth. And I'm always putting in, my slant on it, or I'm editing it, or I'm tweaking it. It's never just, hey, ChatGPT, write this for me. And I grab it and I put it in.
Oh, exactly. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that just reminded me that, when I started using ChatGPT, I was always looking for the prompts that I could just put in and get usable output. And so at the time, I think I referred to ChatGPT as your LSD loving intern, because these language models also do hallucinate. They make things up. They make wild things up every now and then. So you have to be the expert to be able to tell when it's hallucinating. But now I don't even think of it as an intern anymore. I think of it's almost more like going to a supportive parent or mentor for help and advice, because it's not an intern where you can just give it a job and then check its work afterwards. I think it's much more of a discussion, a back and forth, and you don't always take its advice. And, also it doesn't necessarily know your business or your audience or anything about what you're trying to do as well as you do, but it can still provide great support, great input, and it can do it fast.
As I'm listening to you talking, I'm nodding excitedly, because you're at a higher level, I would say, than I am. But I really started using the whole conversation myself recently, and I get a lot more out of it. And I was wanting to come up with the name of a group that I'm going to be doing. And I was like, oh, here's what it's going to be, and give me 10 potential names. And it gave me the names. And I said, well, not quite this or that, or it's a little too salesy, and you can go back and forth with it. And I would pull a couple of bits from different suggestions and say, okay, how about we put this together? And, should it be this or should it be that? And it would give me the pros and cons about, well, if you use this word, you're kind of meaning this, and this means something else. And if you use it back and forth like that, I think that is really the key. And people have been talking kind of since the beginning, I think the beginning or mid of this year, that, it's all about the prompts. It's all about the prompts, but it's really about the conversation.
Yeah, I think it's less about the prompts and more about, being an effective communicator and understanding that it needs effective communication from you if it's going to give you anything that you're going to be able to use. But I think focusing on the prompts makes it sound a little bit like, there's these secret prompts that you can give it. It's just about communicating effectively.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I feel that I'm a good writer. I was a magazine writer for a while. I've been doing this kind of thing for years, but I'm a terrible copywriter. And so I will have it write copy for me, but then it will come out so punchy, and I have to say, tone that down, because that's too much for me. You need to, pull that back. This is too salesy, and it will accommodate you. And it will, if you say, I need something that's more descriptive than just, punchy, or using alliteration or something to come up with these clever, quirky titles, it will accommodate you and do that. So I do want to ask you, though, because we're here to, your topic, which I'm so excited you chose, is the tools. So can you share a few tools? And then, of course, bear in mind, someone like me, I think we were talking maybe before we got started, so many of the platforms that I use now, like Canva, almost all of them have some kind of AI integration, and it changes and it gets better all the time. And it's so easy to get shiny object. Oh, let me do that. Oh, let me do that. And, you can be just down the rabbit hole. So can you give us some tips on what tools you feel are, helpful, and kind of why, and how to keep from going down that rabbit hole? I know it's a big question, but.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It depends entirely on it. It's really, I think, a case of looking at what you do day to day, or what you do in your content marketing, what you do in your business, and then figuring out what are the tools out there that could actually help me with this? And then, unfortunately, yes, there is a certain amount of exploration of the tools and figuring out which are the best ones, etc. But I would definitely, I'd encourage everyone at this stage to start playing with communicating effectively with ChatGPT. So that's the first thing. I think just everyone should start exploring ChatGPT to see what it can do for you. And like you said, at the moment, it's kind of AI is being brought into everything. We still at the moment have all these tools out there that we have to go and explore. I do think, it's probably going to become pretty much just ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be baked into everything. And we'll have to think about all that less. The problem is that right now, like, for example, I haven't been hugely impressed with the AI that's built into Canva, for example. So I'd much rather actually go to Midjourney if I want to create an image, for example. But even there, the one of the next things they're going to roll out in ChatGPT is that they are going to be building in DALL-E 3 so that you won't have to leave ChatGPT to generate images. And to date, Midjourney is my favorite text to image generator. So, I mean, that's another tool that I would encourage people to explore. But DALL-E 3, so DALL-E, at the moment, DALL-E 2 is the kind of official DALL-E release. And I don't think that is anyway as good as Midjourney. But everything I'm hearing and the samples that I'm seeing, DALL-E 3 could change my mind on that, or could at least make me think, well, if it's in ChatGPT, I'd encourage people just to use that, because why use two tools when you can use one? After that, I mean, it depends on your business requirements, but Descript is a tool I would also encourage anyone who's doing any video for social media or podcasting to look into and explore. It's an unbelievably powerful tool. It is a video and audio editor, but you edit. The thing that just blows my mind in terms of the innovation of it is that you pop your video in or your audio and it creates a transcript. You edit the transcript like you would a Word document. And as you do that, you're editing your video. So you just copy the text, paste it at the start, and that edits the video so that that part is now at the start. It's kind of it's a little bit hard to explain. And when I heard it first about like edit your videos like you edit text, I was like, what does that even mean? But wow, does it speed up the workflow, because you're not having to like trawl through the video looking for the clips. You can scan the transcript, find the gold, pull it out, make a social media clip. It also has a host of other features, like you can automatically remove filler words. I say and a phenomenal amount, so I can just click remove filler words, boom, they're gone. You can do screen recordings with it. You can have the AI make it look like you're looking at the camera when you might be reading a script over here. It has a whole host of unbelievably powerful features, and it doesn't break the bank in terms of cost either. And in fact, their free plan has plenty on it to allow you to explore and see if it's a good fit for your business. So that's definitely one I would look into. Another fascinating one is heygen.com, which does AI avatars. So you can do photo avatars, you can do cartoon avatars. I frequently generate these characters in Midjourney, and then I get HeyGen to make them speak. But you can also train it. So I could train it on a video very much like you're seeing here, and then have it speak as me in this environment. It's not 100% perfect. I think anyone looking for AI is going to know, oh yeah, this is AI. I think we'll probably be in a place soon where it will be very hard to tell the difference. John Aspirian, a friend of mine, he posted a video recently and he said, I don't think anyone would be fooled by this. But I looked at it and I thought, if I wasn't paying close attention, I think I would have been fooled by it.
Yes, I saw that too. And it's interesting because we see these things on the news, on TV, where people are doing things, and to know that it's, pretty much it's going to be available to us. very, very soon. And that's part of what was behind the whole the Actors Guild strike and all of that, because they didn't want people to just be capturing them and making movies without paying actors to be in them. And it is quite interesting. I'm going to have to check out Descript, and we can put, if you maybe in the comments. I know Descript. I know about that one, and the one you just mentioned. What was the name of that in?
Hey Jen.
Hey
H
Jen, like hey Hey.
H-E-Y-G-E-N.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. I will
Yeah.
have to check. I will have to check that out.
And then there's another one called Opus.pro, which will take your long form video content and create social media ready clips in seconds, which is, and it's then what it does is it rates them. So it'll do about 10 to 15 clips, and it will also give you the rating that its confidence level rating in the clips, basically. So at the top, you might have like, yeah, 88% sure that this will be a good clip for social media. And then as you go down, it kind of loses confidence, or it hasn't been able to find as good clips. Manually finding the clips and creating them in Descript, I feel like I find better clips if I do it manually. However, it's just the time trade-off. So sometimes I will just throw something into Opus and go, great, that clip is good enough, that clip is good enough, that clip is good enough. Could I have found better clips if I went through the transcript? Quite likely. But frequently it'll give me at least 3 or 4 usable clips that I'm perfectly happy to put out just to promote something.
Yeah, I love that. So I just want to answer, Ed, the software that you were asking about, I think was Descript. And so I went back and asked Frank to clarify that. And Lucy, hi Lucy, said, can you add the names and links in the comments afterwards? So yeah, that would be great. I will put in what I know myself also. And two of the things, the Mid-Journey and the DALI, were things that I heard about at the conference where I was a couple of weeks ago. And unfortunately, it was a hybrid conference, but that particular presentation was in person only. It was more of a workshop. And so I have notes of the things, but it's nothing that you can go back and refer to. And I will have to check out Descript, because I kind of looked at it and passed it by. But and some of the things that I've noticed, like even with StreamYard, you can, or if you're uploading on TikTok, for the desktop, you can put in a longer video and it will make clips for you. And StreamYard, I believe, has just added that too, where you can go in afterwards and have it create clips. So, I think it feels in some respects that some of these platforms are trying to, like, oh no, stay here and do it with us, and not having to go someplace else. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. And I think, I think some of the tools that are coming out right now are just too niche to survive, because the larger platforms, exactly as you're saying, will just build in that functionality and will kill the smaller tools, unfortunately. I think in some cases, some of the tools might be developing the capabilities with the hopes of being acquired by larger companies for exactly that purpose. So, but yeah, right now it's AI is everywhere. Everyone seems to be developing an AI tool for this or that or the other. And over time, I think, yes, it will settle down. And over time, I think some of the bigger companies will just, we won't need to go outside of it. If you're using Google Workspace in your business, that's where a lot of the AI functionality will reside. So whatever big tools you're using, I think they will just incorporate more and more of these niche, smaller, fit for purpose things. And it'll all, in the end, we won't be talking about AI. We'll just be creating content, and AI will be working away in the background. We won't even be talking about it or considering it.
Yeah, I love that. And it's interesting because I had used ChatGPT to give me outlines for a presentation that I was doing. And I'm going to cover these topics, and it would break it down for me. And now Thinkific, which is what I use for my education platform, now has something built into it. You give it a few, keywords, and it will build out a course, and not only give you the outline, but build it right in there. And all you have to do is kind of edit it and put in your videos, which, For me, I know a lot of it is the blank page. You look at the blank page and it's like, okay, where do you start? But if you have something, I think one of the best things I think AI is good for is giving you sort of a framework to work with.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the only issue with the kind of the blank page thing is that as it is added into tools, the reason right now that it is worth exploring a little bit is because the some of the tools in the, for example, like I said, the Canva one didn't really impress me. I haven't explored a lot of the AI integrations in Google Workspace as of yet, but
Mm-hmm.
all of the reviews that I'm hearing from people who have explored it are pretty iffy. So that's why right now it is actually worth exploring, and it probably is worth making that trip out to ChatGPT, which will give you better results than a lot of the kind of built-in tools at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for sure, in the future, I think it'll all settle down, and
Well,
we won't be having to make round trips to all these different pieces of
I
software.
know here and there. So, this has just flown by faster even than usual. This show always goes by really fast. But I always like to ask at the end, what would you like to share that you think was important to share that, I haven't asked you and we haven't discussed so far as we are just winding down to the end of our time together?
Well, I suppose you can probably tell that I'm having a lot of fun out here with these tools, and I'm quite excited about the possibilities and what it is enabling us to do. And I suppose we probably should acknowledge that, like, there is a lot of fear out there too. And I feel like my approach is very much coming from a place of a balance of fun and fear. It's not that I don't think there are concerns, but I think, we can either lie awake and have sleepless nights over this, or we can figure out, what does it mean for us? What does it mean right now? What's happening right now? And, what's coming down the line? And, enjoy where we are with it right now, while being cognizant of what's coming, and maybe, keeping an eye on what some of the concerns are, and just being fully informed. But yeah, I think it's just good to acknowledge that, yes, there is a lot of fear, as well as all of the positive things that it's enabling us to do.
Yeah, I know. I hear that, and I've heard some people say, "Oh yes, get ready for the Terminator," right? And then I've heard other people, actually, someone I who spoke at the conference that I attended said, there's no need to worry about that type of thing. So, and again, we shall see. But I do think there is often people hear something and it's somebody's thought idea and it's like, oh my goodness, this is coming now. And I think there is, often unneeded fear.
I'm heartened by the fact that, both anecdotally in my own experience and also in several studies that I've looked into, that the people who are using AI at the moment, the people on the ground, like you and me, who are using AI, are quite positive about the impact that it's going to have. So that, I think, that heartens me.
Well, I wish you could stay and chat with me for another half an hour, but I want to be respectful of your time, of course. And how's the best way for people to reach you? I know you're on LinkedIn, you put out great content there. And how can people get in touch with you, reach you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is definitely the best place. And I am at the moment exploring a lot of these tools to try to figure out what is useful, what isn't useful, which ones you should look at, which ones you should just ignore, or which ones you should just have a look at because they're fun, even if they're useless. um, so that's on my LinkedIn profile. It's the link in my profile. It's also in my featured section, but it's also at frankandmarci.com/AI. If anyone wants to sign up and get the emails, I'm reviewing a tool frequently, and I'll be sharing, how I use ChatGPT and what benefits we get and that kind of thing as well.
Well, I will be signing off. I will be signing up for that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know I have some fun in store exploring these things over the weekend. So again, Frank, thank you so much for joining me and all this great information that you've shared with me. I know it's been helpful to the audience. I see lots of applause flying up, although, you know, from the side, I can see all the interaction that people are having. I really appreciate this. So thank you so much. Goodbye for now. See everybody next week and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.